This is one in a series of brief video conversations addressing common local church operational issues. The intent of these conversations is to highlight issues, suggest options, and offer staff and volunteers ideas for further research. You must determine what works best in your context. My name is David Atkins. I am the Executive Director of the Missouri United Methodist Foundation. Today, joining me are Steve York and Christy Cubbage. Steve is a member of the Foundation Board of Directors. He is a member of the Aldersgate United Methodist Church in Lee's Summit and a certified public accountant with Stern Brothers Valuation Advisors in Kansas City. Christy is the Director of Client Accounting for Support Kansas City Incorporated. Today we will discuss issues relating to the local church payroll. Steve, tell us about your experience.
Payroll is a unique area in a church environment. For this reason, I'd like to maybe just discuss some of the payroll service options that a church has if they'd like to turn to a third party. And to begin that discussion, I'd like to introduce Christy Cubbage from Support Kansas City, who will talk a little bit about that.
At Support Kansas City, we provide payroll services to over 50 nonprofit organizations, and we utilize third-party software to produce those payroll reports. And when you utilize an outsourced payroll service, there are some advantages. It will take out your taxes the day the payroll is taken out. Traditionally, you'd wait a week and then you would make your payroll deposit. But when you outsource to a third party, they will take on some of the responsibility of paying those taxes on time. And that is a huge benefit, because if you miss a payroll tax deposit, you can get a very large penalty letter from the IRS, and it is very painful to go through and try to get the penalties dismissed or even reduced. One of the things that we always recommend to clients, and we highly encourage, is when you outsource the payroll, it does not outsource the responsibility for understanding the payroll and reviewing the payroll.
As a church treasurer, generally speaking, I hate the costs that come with payroll processing. Payroll processing, where you have all of the services, it's expensive to have them do that. But, and the but is important here, our church typically will get 2 or 3 notices a year where there's some sort of third-party filing failure. We have, for instance, a bad Social Security number for a new hire. Or we may have a withholding notice for a garnishment, say. Or we may have a discrepancy between the money withheld and the money reported on a quarterly filing. Any of those types of notices will cost you more to respond to than the cost of that payroll service. And the payroll service can be as easy and local as a local bookkeeper that's payroll service qualified, or a CPA that's qualified in this area, or, as Christy has mentioned, very large services like Paylocity or ADP. But I would recommend that you check these, because I know in my own church office, when I get a notice that there's some sort of a penalty or failure to file or incorrect filing, nothing gets that office more upset, anxious, and worried about the future than knowing they have that letter hanging over their head. If you have a third party and part of your services, they accept the responsibility for third-party reporting, they will also accept the responsibility for answering those inquiries and making sure they're corrected. The last thing that I'd like to talk about on payroll processing, a recent concern that fell on the treasurer's desk is for a terminated employee where they were left on the payroll. And we had to try to get the money back and then fix all of the withholding reports. And if it hadn't been for my payroll service, I would still be working on that now, 3 months later.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Christy. We hope that this is helpful information for you as you seek to do God's work in your congregation. Thank you.